Alberta's government is keeping our commitments and getting the job done for Albertans. The Alberta Legislature just finished our spring session, and with it, this government has now fully or mainly implemented 83% of our election commitments to Albertans, including passing 101 laws to keep those commitments. I have a bunch of them here. We passed 25 bills into law during this spring setting. We have had a harder working legislature, achieving more, getting more work done than any other legislature, including the Parliament of Canada, through the COVID crisis. So I'll just give you a rundown about some of the 25 bills that we passed over the past 3 or 4 months. Bill 72, Preserving Canada's Economic Prosperity Act, strengthens the so-called turn off the taps legislation that allows us to protect the value of our natural resources if other governments try to block our pipelines. Bill 67 is the Skilled Trades and Apprenticeship Education Act, a key part of our Skills for Jobs election commitment that expands the system for vocational and apprenticeship training, because we believe that a trade certificate has every bit as much value as a university degree. Bill 62, the Red Tape Reduction Act. I think this is our 6th red tape reduction bill. And because of legislation like this, we've now cut over 120,000 job-killing red tape rules. Bill 58, the Freedom to Care Act, another campaign commitment which reduces the red tape burden on charitable organizations, volunteers, and nonprofits so that they're not inhibited in helping the poor, the homeless, and those most in need by heavy government regulation. Bill 60, the Appropriation Act, that's basically putting into law the February 2021 budget, which is a huge investment in healthcare, partly to get through COVID, but also to reduce surgical wait times, and a very important bill, of course, Bill 54 on irrigation, part of our economic recovery plan, the largest ever expansion of Alberta's irrigation network in 6 decades that's going to help grow agriculture in our province. Bill 52, the Recall Act, another campaign commitment that allows you as voters to fire your MLA, school board trustee, a city councillor, or mayor if they break trust with you by signing a legal petition, another promise kept. Bill 51, this wasn't in the platform, but it is a historic democratic reform, the Citizens Initiative Act, that empowers ordinary Albertans to force a province-wide referendum on big issues if politicians aren't paying attention. Bill 211, the Firearms Municipal Government Act, which basically prohibits municipal governments from imposing their own gun bans after the Trudeau federal government tried to give municipalities the power to interfere in the rights of law-abiding firearms owners. Bill 63, the Police Street Checks and Carding Amendment Act, brought forward by Minister of Justice K.C. Madu, which ends a problematic practice in policing that too often has been used unfairly against people from minority backgrounds. Bill 61, the Vital Statistics Amendment Act, Nate Glubich, Minister of Service Alberta, brought this forward, and it prohibits violent criminals from being able to change their names to hide their identity. Bill 66, the Public Health Amendment Act, is a very important commitment we've kept to remove the power of government to force people to be vaccinated. So this is an expansion of freedom. It guarantees that no one's going to force you to get a vaccine for COVID or anything else. It also takes away a number of government emergency powers, many of which go back to the 9/11 era, and including the power of ministers to modify legislation that was brought in back after 9/11. That's been removed with this bill. Bill 71. This is the employment, basically this is a bill that extends a 3-hour paid leave requirement for workers to be able to go get a vaccine to help increase that take-up. So a bunch of other legislation. We also passed 6 motions, one appointing a committee of the legislature to do a deep study into how we can strengthen protection for property rights, another campaign commitment. A motion calling on the federal government to support our efforts to get full compensation from the Biden administration in the U.S. because of his veto of the Keystone XL pipeline. Motion 83 that sets us up for the referendum on equalization that will happen this October 18th. Motion 84 that condemned the recent hateful attacks on Muslims in London, Ontario, and all forms of bigotry and hatred. and Motion 85 that calls on Justin Trudeau to keep open the 2 current Alberta Senate vacancies until we can choose our own senators in the election this October the 18th. So 25 bills, 6 motions this spring session on top of altogether 101 laws passed, 83% of our platform commitments implemented, promises made and promises kept.